You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor, AA Ron.
Yeah.
We here.
Here like we never left. Got to do it for the people. And you know, one thing that we know out of all the edutaining we do up in here, one thing we know is that real liberation is going to come by being financially independent.
Yep.
Can I get an amen?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have the brothers from Timeless Advisors with us once again to give this entry for our investment series. Mm-hmm. And I believe Brother Corbin was talking about giving us some tidbits on the importance of nonprofits and the ROI when it comes to that. And Corbin, man, that first, welcome. Thanks again for joining us. Mm-hmm. Always great to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Always empowering, not just from the money management standpoint, but empowering just you as a brother, always having a good word and being an inspiration.
Right. And I have to say real quick, Corbin, I've been hearing that you've been changing lives in the community. Real talk. Real talk.
As the title of the show goes, in my humble opinion, yes, I've touched a few. Humbly speaking,
man.
Respectfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And doing so right here on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And so Corbin, Charlottesville has, per capita, quite a few nonprofits. And so, the way that the money, matriculates in and out of those, I think would be very, very educational for our folks, man. So I'm going to kick it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you. Razor.
Yes, sir.
Aaron, Sir Charles, and Queen Max.
Let's
always a pleasure to be back in the building. Always.
Of course.
Always.
And Charles, what is interesting to me is, as I just left our church's homecoming, I think that it's imperative that even when you don't necessarily have the financial resources to give back, there are other ways in which you can give back to your community. Mm-hmm. I believe that being a servant and offering charity can not only be enriching and enlightening, but it also can provide you an opportunity to network, to put you in a position, if you're not where you want to be, say that you're working a job and you just start to volunteer for an organization, you never know who you are going to bump into or who you may run into. So it has been something that has been instilled in me at a very early age to always give back, whether you have a lot or whether you only have a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it also puts you in a good place spiritually. And it just gets you motivated, because to me, I think about some of the best moments of my life. Yeah, some of them come centered around money, but my greatest moments was when I was doing for others. And it's imperative for me because I love to be a blessing to others and to help out, whether it's giving them, imparting financial wisdom, whether it's, providing financial resources, or whether it's just an encouraging or uplifting word. We got enough bad things going on in the world right now that just saying a positive word to somebody when they're down, you never know how that may change someone.
True.
And the other reason that I thought it was imperative to bring this up, let's talk about this radio station. There are so many things that we can get into today about why it's important to give back, as far as like tax deductions, charitable donations to nonprofits. But let's talk about the radio station. I want you all to elaborate to the community, because I think a lot of times people don't even realize that this radio station is not only a platform, but it is a vessel and a conduit for all types of information that is dispelled and shoveled through the community. So I want you all as a team to elaborate back to us to say, listen, this is what we represent at 101.3. I know it in my humble opinion, but this is a radio station in general, because you all are doing an incredible job at passing that information. So I wanted to open the conversation back up with you all first, and then I can talk about the financial piece after that.
Yeah, well, I'll give a briefing, and then I'm sure Razor got something for it. But for those that don't know, WVAI is a nonprofit entity. And you hear shows such as this that provide you the info that we do to definitely uphold that status as being a nonprofit community-based station. So the underwriting and things that you guys hear on the air Like those, legally are not spots. They're not commercials. They are they are local businesses and organizations, and PSAs get ran for free because as a nonprofit community-based station, we are here for you. So it is a maximum return on investment by supporting WVAI 101 Jams.
WVAI is also the only black-owned station of its inception in this whole region. So for not just the young black males or the DJs out here and who aspire to be more, but what WVAI does, it also gives you the voice that your grandparents talked about that they fought so hard to have. And I believe that because we're giving it to you, people don't really understand the value of what this station is for you. That's the only negative thing that I have to say about how I think people view the station is because it's free. Then the value of it must not be as much as if I have to go out here and try to find place on somebody else's platform. It's almost like, we always used to hear that platform, Aaron, the grass is green on the other side, where it very much is applies to the way that our community is dealing with WVAI. You have everything that you need that you think somebody else has better, but you're not taking access of it,
Yeah.
And one of the
You know why that's so imperative that you say that? Thank you, Razor, for getting to that point, because people, if they cannot attach a value on something, right? If you start it free and it's always given for free, the moment if there's a charge affiliated with whatever it is, whether it's a service or intellectual property, then it's like, why am I paying for something I've been getting for free anyway?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I wanted you all to explicitly state that this is what the radio station brings, because there's value, in my humble opinion, there's value in the other parties that are a part of this radio station. See, it's been so many great conversations. I mean, let's go back to my former professor. How many times have you all had Nikki Giovanni on the show?
Yes.
She drops jewels all the time. She is a world-renowned writer and poet, like dropping jewels on your platform. But just there's so many other people that have come here to impart their wisdom and give jewels and information. And I think sometimes people take that for granted because, like you said, it's a non-for-profit station. But guess what? Non-for-profit doesn't mean that the bills don't need to be paid.
That don't mean
y'all
no
still
money.
got bills to pay.
Yeah, that don't mean
y'all
no
got
money.
bills to pay, right?
Exactly. And Corbin, like that's a great point too, because it's not paid staff. Now, like the talents here, can hire Clee to be a DJ, can hire us, to MC or host events or whatnot. But here, the work we do here is definitely pro bono. It is for you all, for the community. So you're right. It's that money is paying the bills.
Because the station doesn't stay afloat without these contributions, these charitable donations, these tax write-offs, and community members and other business owners being able to put back in the station. So I think that it is just so key that we continue to harp on the fact that y'all got to keep the lights on at the station if this vehicle is going to continue to run. And I thank you all for allowing Timeless to have this platform for a few moments every other Sunday to be able to speak about finances, because this ties directly into what we're talking about today, which is giving back to nonprofit organizations.
Hey, Corbin, let's take it another route. If the city of Charlottesville feels that they want to be in equity, they should be giving grants to WVAI. If they're looking to give black people a voice, if they think that black people feel that we're not included in the city of Charlottesville, this is definitely one way that the city could look into that.
I think that you should
and if
definitely...
I could just quickly piggyback on that. I didn't give any comments earlier because Razor pretty much took, exactly what I was going to say. But someone else, or to call out another group of people, is like if you are among the people who say that the way that Charlottesville is functioning and these the way that racism is impacting the disenfranchised and the way that we should be offering more opportunities and just restructuring things for the Black community. If you're one of those people and you have the resources and the means to support somebody like 101 Jams, in my humble opinion, then you should also step forward as well.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. But there's boundaries. Is what I find a lot is that I'll go to this line with you, but don't ask me to step across that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's constituents, or just people they affiliate themselves with, take issue with that. And I'm going to look out for myself ultimately more than I would the next person, especially someone who doesn't look like me. And so I think that prevents a lot of people from really coming out and supporting like their mouths say they're willing to do.
Yeah. But I also think not only that, Max, that it's imperative that you all break it down a little further. Sometimes, for example, when we've talked about life insurance or we've talked about saving or investing and take it into baby steps or break it down even further, because just because someone hears that WVAI is a nonprofit entity, what does that truly mean? Like, what does that mean? They cannot see the balance sheet. They don't understand like what the expenses of the production in order to keep this vessel running. And so that's why it was imperative for me to talk back to you all, not about just the nonprofits outside of this, but let's start at the one we are talking on right now. Yeah. Let's hone in there, because if the lights don't get kept on and the station doesn't keep moving, then the party stops. You know, it's like, we can talk about everything under the sun as far as local nonprofits. There's a ton of them out here doing great and incredible work in the community. However, let's talk about the one right here that's giving me a chance to have a voice, Aaron, a chance to have a voice from our company to you all to say, you know what, we can be supportive in whatever capacity. And like I said, donations don't necessarily have to come in monetary format. It could be spreading the word, you know, or just sharing what is going on in the community. I know you all have partnered with so many events in the Charlottesville area, and, you know, just spreading the word. If you don't have the money or the resources to get, that's fine. But just, if you know that there was a good product being put out here, I want to be a part of it. You know, I want to lend a hand to lend some support to what you all are doing, because like I said, I was listening before you ever invited me on the show anyways, Charles. You know, it wasn't as if I've just started listening because of that, because I've heard many segments with you all. You know, I got to learn about the different personalities. You all create a balance amongst yourself as this team that represents here in the studio. And, you know, I was honored to be invited up here to talk about it. But I think it's imperative that we keep talking about the station. Yeah. You know?
The value, though, right? And Aaron may want to chime in on this too, Corbin, but, you know, like the value, like how do we portray the value of something? Because Razor, like, let's cut through the chase. Like, there's commercial entities, right, that are white owned that have taken steps to silence us and to get this place closed.
Saga.
You know,
allergies, my bad.
So, you know, so it's like you can have these corporate giants, right, that can be flashy and make people think that this is who you should listen to, this, you know, like, because we're, you know, big and flashy, but not realizing that the value here of being Black ran, of having the community initiatives, of that cycle, you know what I mean, of cycling the dollar within our own community, and that intellectual property as well, the cycling in our community. How can we not just monetize that, like, but how do you like value that? How, you know what I'm saying?
So before you speak on that, can you do me one favor before he adds to that part? Charles, can you tell me, are you privy to give me the information of an example of why someone was trying to get you all shut down? Is that something that you could talk about public before I give even a response to
across the United States? Charles, let me do it.
What happened?
Across the United States, there is a company that goes around and focuses on minority radio stations. They shut them down. Okay. It happens very much like what happened here one time. You went to lunch and you came back and they was playing country music on the station that you had been listening to here in Charlottesville for a long time. Well, this is what they do. If they can cut off the airways for LP Black radio, minority radios, then they take and they put their own programming in place, which essentially they silence your voice. We already have problems getting out things like healthcare and information and how to vote. So if they can stop you that way, that's the way that they do it. Now, they're such a big entity that they tie you up in legal fees in court over the course of time. And because we don't have money like that, organizations like ours can't withstand the court process. So then you end up losing your ability to broadcast across the FM radio stations. That's it in a nutshell. So our people need to come about and fight for it if you care about what you have.
That's right. Yeah, and let me just add to that.
And therein lies the question: is the if. Like,
yeah.
We know the value. Convincing someone else to believe in that same value is the problem.
Exactly. And Corbin, let me add on to that by saying, when we talk about this value, like, there's a specific example of a brand, a company that that we have opened up the black community to them, right? But then you have this, the other groups that we're talking about, like Razor is mentioning, that will come through and offer so much money to where that same business would be like, I'd rather take that money from you than to engage the black audience. So, so somebody there has to see the value in us. And like Max is saying, we got to know how powerful we are, like how powerful our dollar is to be able to control that narrative.
It's okay for us to say no.
Yeah.
That you're not going to do this.
I think Aaron was going to say so. I'm going to let Aaron chime in and then I'll kind of give some feedback.
Nah, I appreciate that. When you say value, I think that, and sometimes I don't like to talk about history, but one of the most famous journalistic publications in the history of this country for black people was the Chicago Defender.
Yeah.
And the Chicago Defender existed specifically because mainstream white media, whatever you want to call it, was not putting out the sort of messages and the sort of content that black Americans had needed. So that's why it's always important. So I look at us as a new age version of the Chicago Defender. Now, because we have a little bit, I don't want to say we have a little bit more freedom, but also with that freedom becomes a lot more responsibility.
Yeah.
And we have to value ourselves to the point where we have to treat our messages as valuable as they are to the community. Because the reality is that in today's society, things get mixed in a little bit. In a black state, what is a black station? That even becomes a question. Like, what exactly is a black station?
Well, it's against us to say that we want to highlight anything black. A black life can't matter without there being a problem.
And I think that's where the dichotomy comes in. And I'll start to Corbin, but I think it's that I think the thing that we do really the best, that I really love everybody in the studio for, and I'm not just saying this, is because we know our own problems and we talk directly to our problems without any sort of hesitation, any sort of ego or anything of that nature. We are not afraid to put ourselves on the chopping block and say, these are the issues that we deal with in our community. These are the issues we deal with in our relationships. These are the issues that we deal with on a financial side. That's why we have Corbin coming in. But the thing is, we're talking specifically to our community.
That's right.
Other stations and other platforms, good or bad, they might say, well, we want to be a more inclusive. Listen, we love everybody.
They talk about us.
But we got to talk to us.
But
we have to talk to ourselves. And that's where I think our exclusivity comes in a little bit. Because we're saying exactly who we are. Now, that doesn't mean somebody like Marshall, I'm not picking on, but that doesn't mean Marshall's sitting in here and saying, yo, y'all dropping good game. And I'm not offended that you guys are talking directly to your community, because Marshall's actually a decent human being. Shout out to Marshall. But that's what I'm saying. We're talking to ourselves. So when Corbin comes on here and gives us financial information, Corbin is also keenly aware of the value he provides, because he also knows the struggles and the things that we have gone through. Certain communities have, let's be real, and this is what we don't like to talk about. Certain communities have specific problems. We have specific issues.
That's right.
We always talk about them. So what's wrong with valuing a brother like Corbin and his organization coming in and talking, yo, dude, Aaron, I've grown up there. I know what our issues are. My grandma, my grandpa, my uncles, my friends, my homies, we all know what we're doing. We're talking to ourselves.
Can you think what, in the past 5-6 years, if In My Humble Opinion had not been on the Charlottesville airways, what you would have missed people? All the voting, Denver Riggleman, all these other people, the mayor, all these people that you never got a chance to really meet and sit there and listen and have us ask the questions that you would ask. How can you not have value in that and support that?
I'll just say for myself, I think one of the most powerful things that we've even done within the last 24 months is that if you listen to this station enough, you have gotten a very unbiased viewpoint of COVID.
Exactly.
We've had doctors. We've had medical professionals on here.
We've had survivors
people from the community. We've had survivors. So at least you can make it. You can make your own determination. Not about the virus, but okay, these people are talking directly to me. Now I can make my own decision. That's something that you do not see on CNN. You don't see on Fox.
You don't see.
We don't see it. We're giving you guys valuable, goes back to Corbin's point, valuable information. So we're not trying to sway anything of that nature. Make an educated decision, but you guys got to know We're talking to you out of love. All right, I can go on.
Yeah, Corbin said Jules.
And Corbin, I don't know if you have an easy answer for that, because I don't know if this is just a nuts and bolts type of answer.
Yeah, good point,
for
baby.
the problem that you raise, the issue that you raise. It's when you're trying to deal with the mindset of people, that's a much bigger challenge oftentimes than just what's the black and white answers.
And
very well put.
Razor said in one of the earlier shows, he was talking about when you have consistent behaviors of doing the same thing over and over again. And then if I turn 35 or 40, or I get to the age of 45 and I try to change behavior, we are creatures of habit. So the older we are, sometimes it's harder to break the cycles, or to break the generational curses, or to break some of the information that is being sifted from generation to generation. And so what ends up happening, it's the same thing here. Look at this. This is one take. You all are speaking passionately about this vehicle that you all are driving right here. We didn't rehearse this. This is off the cuff, because you are passionate about giving information, non-biased, as Aaron just said, to the community that you all represent in a non-biased method. And you have people that would not necessarily have had a chance to speak directly to our community. And so there's value to that. However, when it's given for free, it's the same way if I sit down with somebody and do a financial review, right? Someone will say to me in the beginning, they'll say, all right, Corbin, how much does Timeless or Crown or whatever the companies that you're affiliated with, how much do you all charge to do a financial review, to review the credit? If I say, oh, you don't owe me nothing. Well, I just set the tone.
Yep.
I just set the standard for them thinking that all services from that point forward are going to be pro bono. Well, the catch is this. If I do a financial service for you, or I solicit a product for you that generates my commission, all well and good. But a lot of times what'll happen, guess what? They may use me for all the information in the world.
And go to somebody else.
Take that information and go use it with someone else.
Yep.
And guess who gets stuck holding a bag full of hours they just put in and nothing in return as an ROI on that particular time thing invested.
Right.
But guess what? I still love you. I still love my clients. I love having these conversations because I'm passionate about it. But it's imperative that we continue to be in that, you know, I got to pay my bills just like you all got to pay your bills. That radio station's got to pay their bills. They got to pay the engineers. They got to pay the light bill. They got to pay the utilities up in there. Because without the donations, without the community support, the radio station cannot stand alone and it cannot continue to proceed forward. So, Max, when you ask me about changing the thought process, that's very hard. It is. It really is. But only thing that I can say is continue to put out there or cast the net to those not necessarily within our own communities in the way that you all doing it, but outside forces. Razor just mentioned something about going to the city of Charlottesville. What better time right now than make them step to the forefront, present them an opportunity to say, hey, is there an opportunity, if you all haven't already done it? Like, is there any way that we could get some funding, obviously, to expand, you know, our listening reach, or to expand what we've already set up as this vehicle known as 1013? You know, like, just keep on pressing them out, because sometimes you may not get the yes on the first time, you may not get the yes on the second, but being persistent, putting the information out there and doing what you all are doing. You know, it's about being consistent in your delivery with it sometimes.
You know, one of the consistent themes that I'm hearing too, Corbin, it is that dependency, right? Is that you have folks who would rather us be dependent on them, and sometimes some of our own feel more comfortable to be dependent rather than us empowering ourselves.
Yeah, you're not accountable to think for yourself.
Yeah, because if you put that dependency on somebody else, then the liability is on them. You know what I mean?
EI, why so many people own services.
On services, or scared to start businesses.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Because of that comfort zone. But for us, you know, so that's why the voice will get squelched. And unfortunately, it will take for it to be gone before people see that benefit or that value. Unfortunately.
You don't miss the water to the well run dry.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this too. I want all of the listeners to know this, and you all, this wasn't even premeditated. I didn't come on here necessarily to really harp this deep into the station, but I think it is extremely important that we understand that sometimes you need someone else to market or advertise for you. Sometimes you need someone else to broadcast that these people are up here doing an incredible job, you know, trying to give you the best product that they can, trying to give you non-biased information, trying to give us a vessel or a platform to push out information, because sometimes we take it for granted. And like you said, you never miss something until it's truly gone from you. I was a part of the former station that was in town that went to what exactly Razor said. One day it was playing Beyonce, and the next thing I know, it was country music at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. On the same Friday, I was there, grand opening, grand closing. I was there. I said, "What is going on here?" So
yes, sir.
I was there when the final curtain call happened with that former station, and I thank them for the opportunity. But man, I mean, it was abrupt. Came like a thief in the night, and it caught people off guard. And I knew some things were going on, or kind of had been given some heads up. But because I went through that, that's why I can compassionately speak in regards to this as well too, because people don't understand. You have powers that you can control, and then sometimes you have powers that you cannot control, and forces that you cannot control that will literally just change from day and night. One morning you're there, and the next day it's so. That's why I am speaking the way I'm speaking about you all, because I think that there are so many other great localized non-for-profits. A lot of times people, when they get ready to go do their taxes or going back to the financial piece, we see the things on TV, like the national, organizations that you want to donate money to or whatever. But sometimes, the ones that you can get the best benefit of value out of, or making a difference in your localized community, are the smaller nonprofit entities that are doing great work out there.
Yeah.
And you all represent that,
Appreciate that.
But there's so many of them. So trust me, I've been there. I've been there before.
Yeah.
And I hear the conviction in which you all speak about it. And hopefully the listeners are tuning in as well too, because like I said, I wanted you all to give a chance to let the people know that there's more than what we just show on the surface that goes into making this radio station click.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, and Corbin, and before we wrap too, go ahead and touch on that just a little bit though, just the overview of the return that people actually do get. Because it's more than just, okay, like I may slide you some money or I may come volunteer and then I keep hearing your content. It's more than that, like even for like the tax purposes, if you want to, or Aaron want to touch on that a little bit,
Absolutely. So one of the big things, and we know this because tax laws have changed, which I'm not our company CPA by any means, but one thing that I know is if you are a person who self-prepares your taxes, and even as a single or married or joint, however you're filing, once you get to a certain level of contributions, there becomes a write-off for that as far as your taxes are concerned. And obviously, whether you're self-employed, 1099, W-2, that plays a major part of that as well too. But there's a benefit to the giving back if you have to give. But once again, I want to reiterate this. This isn't to tell the people that don't have it or that are struggling right now financially. I am not trying to say you need to find a way to give up. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is this. If you do not have the financial resources in order to be able to give a charitable donation or to get the tax write-off, volunteer. Go give some of your time. Give some of your time, because just speaking to an organization, if you're not where you want to be, can become a critical step to possibly transition into another career or opening up another job opportunity or networking with somebody who could take you to the next step or the next phase of transition in life. It's so imperative that you do that.
Yeah.
It's critical.
And so Corbin, is there like a threshold in your charitable contributions that would then generate the benefit that you were talking about?
So here's the thing. Once again, tax laws are getting ready to change again for 2022 for your 2021 filing. But donations, write-offs, the numbers. I don't want to speak on this. I will be more than happy to give that to you all because stuff is about to change, and I want to make sure that you're given the current information, because it also is dependent upon how much are you making as well to what you give back. So there's a ratio to that as well. So I mean, there's kind of a guide and a scale that I can push to you all if you want to publicize that part. But that's the answer.
And also, it's not just the monetary either when it comes to the write-offs. Like your mileage of doing work for a nonprofit, if you're volunteering as well, there's also mileage like that you can get reimbursed for. Yeah.
Count it.
Yeah.
Count it.
So,
the mileage. Any goods that you have used to put in time and effort, whether it's clothing, were you using your phone to make outbound calls for a nonprofit organization, those things, keep your receipts. That's what we tell them. Keep your receipts for stuff and let your accountant decide and differentiate what can be used versus what's not going to be eligible to be used for your tax filing and stuff like that. So keep your receipts.
Hey, Charles, I got one thing that I disagree with Corbin about. Corbin said when somebody uses him for information and goes on to somebody else, he still love him. Corbin, I don't love him, man. I'm gonna talk about him. I'm gonna put their name out there. I'm gonna put a fake STD on them. I'm gonna put all kind of stuff out there. Like, don't use me.
We going to break. Razor giving out HPV. Razor giving out crabs. What is Razor doing?
If you take
First of all,
something from
I'd
me,
like
I'm gonna
to say
take something from you.
those are Razor's comments and Razor's comments alone. That was not representative of Thomas Solutions Financial Advisory Group. I want to throw that disclaimer out there. That was Razor's discussion on, we still got love for him because I try to make every experience a learning experience. So, and we also like to give our clients, even those that don't necessarily become clients of Timeless or Crown or whatever, an opportunity to give us feedback on how can we improve our process? How can we do better at educating just people in general about becoming more efficient and proficient as to what we do? And even though I know Razor said he disagrees, he got a lot of love in his heart. So
I'm just playing, man. We got a little too serious Corbin, and sappy there for me for a second. It hurt.
One of my a donation that I regularly make down throughout the years is my tithes and offerings to church, right? Mm-hmm. And can I say that for a number of years, I just kind of threw away the tax receipt that the church gives me at the end of the year, just because I felt guilty, I guess, for benefiting by something that I was giving to God, so to speak.
No,
and I'm sure, and I wouldn't think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, no, you shouldn't, because I too also give tithes and offering to my church. I was just coming from church today, and I don't think that you should feel bashful or any type of negative way about.
I don't know Mo. I used to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Corbin, she ain't never had to worry about it. I went behind in the trash can and got it out. It's all good.
Hey, that building fund ain't never produced no building.
we ain't never missed none of that. I got them receipts. Don't worry about it, Mac.
I know you do, Razor. But here's a little bonus before we wrap up today, Charles. I'm going to hit everybody with, and I'm gonna go down the line. But this is the question. Something came over me before we started this afternoon, and I want to hear from each one of you, because we are always honing in on finances, but specifically saving and investing. But I want everybody who is in the studio right now to tell me this. What is the first thing you do when you get your paycheck or a bonus check or a commission check? What is the first thing you do? Because sometimes in finance, what I find out is sometimes we just need to get back to the basics. We just need to get back to the basics. And I'm not asking you with a certain amount, a dollar, but what is your first thing you typically do when you get your paycheck? And I'm looking forward to hearing the answers, specifically coming from one individual in that studio today, because I just know there's going to be a variation of responses. So,
I want to hear Max's first. That's what I want to hear.
Max,
I want to know where her money at.
Yeah, not a problem. My tithes and offering.
Okay, so the first thing you do is give your tithes and offering. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Hey, Ron, you go first.
Oh, she spoke with both of y'all?
Yep, tithes and off. Don't mind that too.
So mine is I pay myself first, man. I throw I'm being transparent. I throw about 50% of my income right into the market.
Okay.
That's big.
So Charles?
Yeah, so for me, I already have my bills, set as far as like what I pay from each check. So first would be those bills get taken care of, but then very next, so like that's automatic. But the savings is always the first thing that I look at. That's not, that's outside of the bills. The savings.
So bill get paid first, huh?
The bill get
and
paid first.
Razor, you can't get off the hook that easy. You don't just get
off.
Co-sign what Max said. That's not how it works.
He just gonna bring it in. He just bring it home.
Look,
trust me. He gonna give you an answer.
Truth, transparent, truth. All right. I'm an XD boy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So my mindset is always on the escape money. That's my whole thing. Whenever I come across some extra money, and Max can verify this, even though she don't know this is what I do, I purchase something that I can sit off to the side, that if I ever get in trouble, I can sell. Because if I leave it as cash, it's going to get used in some type of way. So whenever I get an influx of money and I catch a deal, I'll be on, she can tell you, I'll be on Marketplace 36 hours straight looking for something that I can purchase that I know is going to have value to somebody else down the road. That's my natural upbringing that still has made me who I am. So I do what Aaron does. I just do it with a product that I know. He throws his into the market. I throw mine into something tangible that I can put my hands on immediately, that I ain't got to sign no papers. I ain't got to ask nobody, is the market up and down, that I can sell myself because I believe in the power of my voice. If I have something, I can make you think that you need it. So that's what I do with mine.
I thought that asking the question would also show just us in this small group, how different we all think. Like, regardless of whatever our goals are, what the end game may be for each one of us individually or as families, for our families or whatever the case is, the end goal is to be successful in life, right? But see, that's the beautiful thing about finances. Just because you take road A or I may take road B or road C, we can still accomplish our goals. But it doesn't mean that, you know, one of you are more successful than the other. What it means is you just may have a different approach. And that's why I wanted Razor to give that answer, because he said, I put it into something tangible. Aaron said, I put it in something tangible, but the roads are a little bit different. So when it comes to finances, it's not about we just have all the right answers. What it is we just want to get you to somebody who has the credentials and the ability to be able to guide you. And if you need it, we're here to speak about it. That's the whole premise behind why we're trying to give out this financial information. It's not to solicit us. I'm not on here trying to sell product or anything like that. What I'm saying to you is we just happen to be one of the vessels. If you want to come speak to us about stuff, we would love to talk to you. But it's not meaning that this is the only way that you have to do your finances, you know, because everybody is not going to be comfortable with the way that we may necessarily recommend, but we try to keep it simple. You know, we want to keep it in the most simplistic format possible to help you achieve whatever financial goals that you want to accomplish. That was the reason why I asked the question, because, you know, if you feel that you're not where you want to be, a lot of times I'll take it back to the check and say, what are you actually doing with your money when you first get it? Because you can get to the source of it. A lot of times when I ask a client that, they'll say, oh, I go out to eat. You know, people get paid on a Friday, they may go out to eat, or they may go shopping, or they may start, you know, spending money on whatever tangible items or whatever their vices may be. And then they look back and then they're like, okay, then they do what Charles does second after they've spent the money and they got to go pay the bills, and then that check is gone. And then they need other bill money from the next check to pay. So if you're not where you want to be, maybe just look at how are you truly effectively managing your money when it comes into the household in the first place, and operate off your net, not your gross. Because see, in our world, Aaron can testify to this, we operate off the gross, not the net, right? So we operate on what's called fake money, because we're giving you a figure when it comes to the mortgage realm. And like, you may bring in, you know, $2,500 a month on paper, but after taxes, that may break down to $1,800. So operate off your real money to create your budgets, whatever you're doing. But maybe if you want to tweak something or get ahead or feel like you need to change some things, look at what you're truly doing with your money when you first get your check and when you get paid.
Amen.
So how do we do, Coach?
Corbin, I got a quick question for you.
Yes,
I was listening to someone speak about taking care of, you know, their monthly bills and how they pay them. And they were saying that they use their credit card to pay all of their bills.
That's right.
Because A, they're using someone else's money. B, it's building their credit. Just wanted to get your feedback on that as far as whether or not that was a good method. Were there any drawbacks from doing it that way?
Great question. Great question. Let me tell you this. My wealthiest clients use their credit card to pay for everything. You want to know why? Because there's usually something called rewards tied to that credit card. I mean, when they are paying everything from their groceries to the bills to just their household expenses, their reward points start adding up so quickly to the point where they're getting vacations paid for free. They are getting, you know, cash rewards back on certain cards when your credit score gets to a certain level. So before I recommend anyone using a credit card to pay their regular expenses, My question is going to be to that person, where do you stand credit-wise right now? Because if you're in credit debt, not because you use your credit card every day, but because your spending has gotten out of control,
right,
that may not necessarily be the best strategy for that person. Who that strategy is for is someone who maybe even keeps a low or to no balance on their credit card, who effectively manages it and can pay down that effectively over the course of each month they use it, or can do it within a couple of months, because that's how you get the benefit of using a credit card to pay all your expenses, is that you stay on top of it. But if you don't manage your credit well, then no, that's not something I would recommend for that person.
Amen. Amen to that.
Good stuff.
Brother Corbin,
Good stuff.
as always.
Yeah, look, Corbin giving us a test.
As always. You know,
He think he's slick with it.
On today, but I like that.
We're going to let it ride. We're going to send the bill in the mail. Yeah.
I like that. Hey, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so Brother Corbin, thanks as always. You know, we're definitely looking forward to the next one coming up, man.
Likewise, I appreciate all of you all. I hope you have a positive and productive week. Keep on doing what you're doing. I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
All right. Y'all take care.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.